Welcome guys to another episode of the All Ears podcast with me, Luke Barnatt. This podcast was invented for me to learn more about the world. I felt like as I became a good fighter, the better I got, the more I had to learn. The more I'm learning about all these things in life, I feel like I know so little. So I bring on interesting guests to talk to them about different topics in the world. I try and learn along with them and they get to teach me things, and hopefully you guys learn as well. Okay, Valtteri, so what's harder? Getting a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or starting and maintaining an 8-figure company?
I would probably say maintaining and starting the company, because if you're just basically any guy who goes and train like 7 days a week and you just show up to the class, you will eventually get there. But if you're basically not capable enough, that's probably the right word, you're probably not going to get to the 8-figure. So that is, I would say it's like 10 times harder.
10 times harder than getting a black belt?
Yeah.
Okay. I always try and make similarities between martial arts and business because but 10 times harder, that's a lot. That's a lot. So you said you need different capabilities.
Yeah.
What do you believe the capabilities are for a man that can run? And like I said, maybe getting there, you maybe have an amazing idea and you can manage to get to the 8-figure mark, but to maintain it, to stay on top, to keep pushing through the issues that I'm sure come, what capabilities do you need as a man to do that?
Well, first of all, you will need to like resist and overcome all the obstacles you get, because in any business you get, you probably have like a lot of small and bigger failures. And most of the people, they just quit when you get like the biggest, like first big like failure. And I would say like we had like so many big things that go like fucked up, and like so many sleepless nights that you just think like everything is fucking gone. And then you just like look at it a few years back and you're like, okay, like that was not that big thing. But the big thing also, like I would say that like if I look at the people who I studied with and the people who I know that they're actually smart people, they're not that ambitious. So if I look at the people who I know who made like 8 figures by themselves, they all are like kind of like nuts, and they put like insane goals. So like when you go in the jiu-jitsu class and you ask somebody like, hey, like you can get to black belt in 5 years, they're like, oh, I probably cannot. But I say like, okay, if you train twice a day and you do this and this and this, you will get there. And even though I know that it's true, they don't like really understand that it's possible. So the first thing is that you need to be like crazy enough to believe that you deserve to have like millions of dollars or euros or dirhams. And I think that is one of the biggest things. So if you don't believe you can make that kind of money, then you won't never make that kind of money.
So yeah, like I feel like we describe that as limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
So most people place so many limiting beliefs on themselves, normally that come, I think, as well from how they're raised, from their family, normally mother and father. Even though they're trying to do their best for their children, and it's not a negative thing, they imprint these ideologies onto their kids that making money is hard, or whatever you want to say, because they failed at it. They are scared that their kids are going to fail too. They don't want them to feel the same emotions, whatever. So how do you think you missed that? What do you think what makes you crazy enough to believe that you deserve what you have? Like in your head, you said it was crazy. I don't think it's crazy, but the way you described it.
Well, I think like I met like when I was younger, I met people who were working in affiliate marketing, and I understood immediately that these people are not like super capable. Like they would have no idea of going to like Goldman Sachs to be like investment banker. They cannot be the best in the class, but still they're making like hundreds of thousands a month. So I think that is the point when I realized that, okay, like you can be like, if you just go in the right market and hit the right way, you can be basically pretty fucking stupid and make a lot of fucking money. And that's how I basically understood it. And now the other thing that like really affects it is like if you have people around you that are doing like crazy money and crazy like things, just executing fast, then you really see what's like possible. So a good example is like one of my really, really good friends who's like kind of a business mentor also for me and helped me to get like things running. So he had a small problem with the law, let's say like that. Then he went for a 2-year pause to federal penitentiary. That was a like white collar thing. He miscalculated some things, but when he got out, he got absolutely nothing. And I just talked to him, like I said, like I think it's gonna take like maybe 6 months and you will be making like 100K a day. Then he was like, 6 months, maybe a year, something between that. Now it took 4 months.
So to make 100K a day?
100K a day.
Okay. And what business is he in?
Well, he's working in Medicare and like affiliate marketing industry as well.
Okay. So just for the audience to understand, I know Valtteri from the Jiu-Jitsu world originally.
Yeah.
You know, from just here in Marbella, I own a gym, and my business partner is a black belt. Valtteri's a black belt. They train together, and we would meet each other on the mats every now and then. Not super amount of time, but we know each other from martial arts. And I'm the kind of guy that never really asks, what do you do for a living? What's your business? Well, I'm not that kind of guy. I just get on, do a bit of jiu-jitsu, do a bit of training, relax. And then I remember there's a place here called Puente Romano. It's like the fancy place on Golden Mile in Marbella. And I remember being in La Plaza, which is like, and seeing Valtteri with bottles, having a good time. This was a few years ago in that square, and being like, I wonder what he does, and not even thinking about it. And then again, forgetting about it, moving forward. And then we bumped into each other, I don't know, about 6 months ago, whenever it was, and we started talking at another gym here, talking. And then a friend of mine told me that you were involved in text messaging.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so he sends texts and he makes lots of money. I don't understand it. So, I started this podcast to try and learn more things about businesses. And like you just said, finding industries, you just said, if you're pretty dumb, you can find industries that you can make loads of money in. It's still possible. So if you're smart and you can find the right industries, you can make lots and lots and lots of money, right? So this industry of SMS marketing or text messaging, how did you find this industry? What led you to it from? Where did you start? Again, you're from Finland. Maybe that people don't understand the weird accent, but you're from Finland. Where did you went to university? You started in school. What did you do to then become where you are now?
Yeah, well, I was studying like in the top university in Finland, economics, but then I was like mostly, I think it was like too many nerds there. I couldn't really cope like with the atmosphere, and I was doing different things. I was like working as a bouncer when I was like 18 because I was already known in the jiu-jitsu circles and stuff. And then I met actually, like I saw one of the top nightclubs. I saw these nerd guys who were ordering bunch of fucking bottles all the time. I went to the table and asked like, what you're doing? And they said email marketing. And I'm like, okay, so what type of email marketing? And then they say like, hey, we're doing like casinos, loans, everything. And then I was like, okay, so how does it work? They're like, I'll come to the office for the after party and we show you. Like, okay. I go there and they show me like, okay, you just have these few softwares, you can find them online. Then you need to find the data, and then you clean the data, and then you set up the creative like this, and then you just send and you print money. I'm like, okay. So then it took approximately 2 days to me to have my own email marketing company up. And it's from there, like we moved to SMS marketing, because email marketing and SMS marketing, it's the same function, how it works. You have data and you try to get clicks or calls or whatever is the action, payable actions, where you can get like money. So the cost that you have is the cost of acquiring data, the cost of sending, and then your profit is everything you make above it.
Okay. So how do you acquire, like you said, the cost of, what's more expensive, acquiring the data or sending the creative, you called it? I guess when you buy creative, you mean like the message?
Yeah, creative is like the message. So in email game, the sending was pretty cheap. So because email, it doesn't actually cost anybody anything to send an email. So, but in that point, I would say like we mostly worked with getting like revenue share deals. So we went to people who own like large websites, like, hey, you have a lot of email data. Like, are you making money with it? And okay, you are not. So give us the data, and we pay you half of the profit. And that's how we started to run. But because of the Gmail, Hotmail, all these like advanced email boxes, you probably don't you don't get as much spam as you used to get. So it became so much harder to deliver. And that's when we realized that, okay, so if we have all this data and we have all these phone numbers, why won't we test sending SMS?
Okay, so if you need a drink, take a drink. Okay, so for me, again, I'm trying to layman it up because I'm a layman in this world at the moment. So I'm trying to make sure I have it clear in my mind, and therefore the viewership have it clear in their mind. If you can acquire, so you started the business by splitting profits, and that gave you the data for free.
Yeah.
So one of your costs was zero, and then emails was zero.
Yeah.
So it was just software that you had to pay for.
Yeah, well, you need to pay for like routing and servers to send the email. But that lasted like, I would say, from 2012 to 2015, and then it became like so much more harder. And then we moved to the SMS marketing side. And in SMS, like what we're talking about always is revenue per million. So how much revenue you get when you send 1 million SMS, or how much revenue per million you get when you send 1 million emails. And in email, like a good result is like you get 3,000 revenue per million. And in SMS, a great result is like you get 80K, 100K revenue per million. So in SMS, and well, SMS it should be free. It's free for the operators, but if you're a marketer, you need to pay for the SMS. So in SMS, the cost part is pretty big, but if you have the right data and the right offer, you can make like shitloads of money.
Okay, so it comes more down to then optimizing the offer, or optimizing the creative. So then it's a bit more down to being a specialist, I guess. So you went from being a bouncer to 2 days later starting an email marketing company.
Yeah, well, there was some like I was doing purchasing, like I didn't, probably cash for gold.
Yeah.
Like I had like that type of like franchise running, and then I was selling laughing gas. I had like stores, so it went more like 18 to 19. I was a bouncer, and then from 19 I started being an entrepreneur. Then I went to the gold business. Then I went to the laughing gas business. So like I actually met this the guys who were affiliates through my laughing gas business, because affiliates are usually, let's say, like addicted to a lot of stuff. So they were big customers of mine. So we delivered like laughing gas to their office all the time and that type of thing. So I actually met them through that. And with the laughing gas thing, I learned how to like do e-commerce. I learned how to do like Facebook ads. I learned how to do like SEO, just to basically like everything, how affiliate marketing works and like all this.
Okay, yes, because the laughing gas business, funny that you call it like a business, but it's funny because I know the guy that does that in Marbella. I know it's a different game now, maybe to compare to what it was, but that's and that was all in Finland back home.
Yeah, and I actually got that idea here from Marbella, because I was my ex-boss had like a huge yacht in Puerto Banús, and they also liked a lot of the laughing gas. So we ordered like a bunch of, we called it the demon, like when you have 600 patrons of laughing gas. We called it a demon, so we ordered like multiple demons to the yacht, and like everybody was just like taking the balloons. And immediately when I was flying back to Finland, I was like, this cannot be legal, right? This is you get like so high from this stuff. And then I called like the Finnish basically the food administration, and they said like, oh, it's fully legal. And then we started pushing it. So
okay, and it's still fully legal.
Yeah, it's fully legal. Yeah, you cannot really ban laughing gas, because it's like a chemical that they use to like in like meat. And if you go to a supermarket and you see like vacuum meat, that's usually nitrous oxide that is in it. So you cannot really ban nitrous oxide. And how you get high from laughing gas is actually that the nitrous oxide is gonna replace your oxygen in your blood, and it's basically the same as somebody would fucking choke you out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So like technically it's impossible to make it illegal, but you can give like penalties and fines if you like, let's say like you cannot advertise like gasoline for like, hey, sniff this in your party. And then to the advertisement side, that's like the problem though. We went pretty wild with that.
Because I got a funny story. Is that I knew, again, I'm not a saint. I wouldn't call myself a saint, but when it comes to this sort of stuff, when I was an athlete fighting in UFC, living in America, I was just like head down, training. I was teetotal for a little while. I was very, very on it, you know. I like to party and have a good time, but I was never into like the dark side, doing drugs and all that sort of stuff. Never been my thing. But then during COVID in Marbella here, we had these guys that would rent out villas because all the clubs were closed, all the bars were closed, and they'd rent out full villas and they would sell tables in these villas. Genius idea. Whoever did this was a genius because they'd sell these tables for like big money and they'd have loads of them. And they would rent the villa for like a month or for 2 weeks on Airbnb. They would clear it out. They would chuck some tables down. They'd get a DJ in there. And then you're smiling, so hopefully it wasn't you that I spent the money on. Anyway, I went to one of these parties and there was just these big canisters at every single table, like these big giant ones. And I had no idea what it was. I literally like oblivious to what it was. And some guy gave me like a balloon and I was like, it was weird. That's my first experience of it. And that night, again, I just walked into the house and just stood on some guy's table because I didn't realize people had paid all this money for all these tables. And I was just helping myself to drinks and do whatever. And this guy came up to me and go, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, whatever." And then about 2 hours later, the police come in. And it was like a movie, like in Spain, the Guardia Civil, there's like 3 types of police. And the Guardia Civil are the ones that you don't fuck with. They're the horrible cunts. And he comes in and he pulls his badge out and he puts it over his like bulletproof vest and he gets a bat out and he just starts whacking people. And I was like, okay, I think it's about time that we left. But that's my only ever experience with laughing gas is what I was going to say. During COVID, going to an illegal party and it was already set up. So it's obviously like was a big industry because it was like expected to be there. This big canister thing that I'd never seen before.
They actually used to sell them here in Puerto Banús for the yachts and like all the streets, but now I think it stopped like a few years ago.
Yeah, maybe it became more, like you said, controlled or whatever the phrase would be. Anyway, we're not here to talk about laughing gas. I just didn't really know anything about that. So you became an entrepreneur with laughing gas and gold, but what gave you the vision? Because you said like the biggest problem with people getting 8-figure companies is they don't have. You kind of said the qualities, I would say the balls and self-belief to think that they deserve that. What do you think gives you that you do deserve to be that guy at the top? You deserve to be that guy that's running a company that's making these sort of figures?
Well, to be humble, I was looking at these guys. I thought like, okay, I'm probably smarter and more hardworking, so I should get that money as well and more. So that basically gave me a benchmark. So if you can have somebody who comes from like a IT customer service and starts making like 50 grand a month with email marketing, I was like, okay, probably I can make 100. I should make 100. It's not like I could make 50. I was like, okay, I need to make double than that guy. So that was how it basically started. And then when I got into the industry, I just started meeting so much people who make like ridiculous amounts of money. So then it just became like the new normal. So everybody you meet in the industry conference, like, hey, I made like 2 million last month. Okay, yes, and somebody made like 6, and that's like it's fully normal. So then that became like the new normal, and especially like we're doing this first in like Finland, but pretty fast, like not only like a couple of months in, we decided like, okay, we need to start doing this like globally. And then like 2016, 2015, we just moved to the States and started going to the biggest conferences, meeting people and like networking like hell. And what I can say from like if you do something and you succeed in Finland, like a little bit, or like even in any like small country, you get like a couple of 100,000 maybe. But if you do the same thing and you do that in like United States or globally, then you fucking make millions. Any business where you succeed online, like even on an average level, like let's say that if you will be like in top 10 like SMS marketing companies in United States, you're almost a billionaire. If you would be top 10 in like Finland, there's not even 10 in Finland. So it's just also like just going to the biggest market available.
Yeah, because obviously for people that don't know, and maybe I get this wrong, but I think Finland has a population of about 5 million people.
Yeah, 5 million.
Yeah, so the 5 million people, and again, that's all ages, all wages, everything else. So you got to think the market's fairly small. So if you can become successful there, I've been to Finland a fair amount of times. It's a very unique place, is the word that I would use for it. But if you leverage that and move it over America, I think that's where everyone. I feel like the mentality, especially when it comes to buying products, the consumerism in America is so much higher than Europe in general. Like the conversion rates that you see, and you probably know this from SMS, if you're going to do SMS to European countries compared to America, I imagine the conversion rate's a lot higher.
Yeah, and there's things that we cannot even imagine in like Europe. There's like one of the biggest advertisement sectors. There's legal advertisement, so it's like, hey, let's sue somebody, and then they advertise like, hey, everybody, let's go sue somebody, and then the legal companies pay you like 2,000 per like lead that wants to sue somebody, and this is like companies like Monsanto, Roundup. Like there's these huge class action lawsuits that are like open, and how it basically like works is like, okay, you have a class action lawsuit, it's like it's open, and then the legal companies, they just try to acquire as many people to join the class action as they can, and they paying like big money. And also some other things that you would never see in Europe is like if you drive like in Las Vegas, you could see like the billboards like being in an accident, crashed your car, call us, and it's like motor vehicle accident. So that's also like there's so many things that are business in the US that they just don't, nobody would even consider that being a business in like Scandinavia or other parts of Europe.
Okay, so I'm going to try and break down your journey in my mind. So when did you start Jiu-Jitsu?
I was 13.
Okay, so young. So at 13, you started Jiu-Jitsu. You went to, you said, the best university in Finland. And also, I think Scandinavia has the highest, like, the education system is, like, very good there, right? They have the very highest level of education. So for you to even go to that university, you're obviously not as dumb as me. So it's fine. We got to a point here where at uni you left because it was full of geeks, started doing doors. Then you moved on to now being in your email marketing. When did you see the opportunity to move into SMS? What highlighted it to you? Because I think I know the answer, so I'll try and round it up. Because I believe when you started in email marketing, it was like the gold rush and like easy.
Well, we started a little bit too late. Like the gold rush was like actually like when I was like 10, like from 2000 to 2012. That was like the golden years, and before. Like in the early 2000s, you could just deliver anything, and people were just sending like Viagra and all kinds of shit, and everything was working. So we came a little bit too late to that, but we still managed to make some decent money and like get a lot of connections. And then basically one day we heard that that SMS marketing is the thing, and then we just took one file of data in Australia, if I remember correctly, and then we sent it, and we saw like just the numbers going up, and I was like, okay. So we're making like 10 times more with this than in the email, and then we just switched focus like instantly to that.
So you switched completely from email to SMS just by seeing the numbers.
Yeah, just like pretty much overnight. We did like maybe like 6 months overlapping a little bit, but the amount of work we needed to do in like to make the same money with email was just like ridiculous compared to the SMS. But this was like the golden age of SMS, so that was exactly when everybody started to be able to do purchases on mobile, and so we hit exactly the right time then.
Yeah, so that was maybe the beginning of smartphones. Yeah. Okay. So then I'm guessing it became harder to send now, because I've done a little bit of email marketing, not a lot, but now I understand, like, for me, you all know the numbers way better than me, but if you're sending, say, 100,000 emails, you do things by the million, so let's do it by the million. You send 1 million emails, like, what's the open rate on someone sending me? If you send out to 1 million contacts, how many people are actually even going to open that email?
Well, if you're lucky, then you have like, well, if you're sending like transactional, that hey, like here's your UPS tracking thing, then it comes to like 30-40%. But in the marketing case, like over 10% is like almost impossible nowadays.
Wow. Okay.
But in SMS, it's like everybody reads their SMS, so it's like if you think like. How do you usually, if you get the UPS package that you're trying to track, you will get the notifications with your phone. Like phone is that is the new computer that we have. Like if you would compare the time of how much people spend time on their computers against how much time they spend on their phones, so you basically live with your phone. So that's where all the communication is coming in.
I think it was you that said this to me. and it's the one that highlighted it most to me, the difference between email marketing and SMS marketing is if a volcano erupts or you have an earthquake in your city, you don't get an email telling you to evacuate.
Yeah, exactly.
You get a text saying, let's get out.
Yeah, and you not only get a text, you get also a voice call. So like the US government, like if you have, they have these things called Amber alerts. So like I was in Miami Beach and we got an like alert to my phone that, hey, somebody shot like 500 meters from you. I'm like, okay. So that is like how the US government is actually pushing these alerts that go like past all the systems and they go directly to your phone. It's like a notification that goes past everything. But when you look at like, if you really want to reach somebody, and that is where our platform comes around. So if you really want to reach somebody, well, let's say that you really need to get on hold of somebody, you call them and you SMS them as much as you need to get them to pick up. So that's basically what we do nowadays. So we combine like the calls and the SMS and the voicemails. So basically any communication that is coming to your phone. So that is how we nowadays run the marketing things.
Okay, so if I want I've got a product, whatever the product is, I want to sell it. You've got the traditional way, maybe, I don't know if you, I'm again young in this, but the traditional way would be an email marketing campaign, some social media or whatever. Would you consider SMS a traditional way of marketing a product or a more new version, or it's still traditional?
Well, SMS is an old way, but it's kind of like you cannot really like nowadays when the things have become like compliant and shit, like you cannot really go and just take like, hey, here's like 1 million of data, I start blasting SMS to it. But how we should look at this is like when we talk about the email open rate, then it's 10%. So when you have a list of people that are interested in your product, so, and you want to reach them, you want to either communicate with them, or you want to sell something to them, or you want them to make some action. So do you want to use the tool that gets like the 10% open rate, or do you want to use the tool that gets 97% open rate? So that is basically the question. And especially you can combine it with calls. Like if you want to sell somebody something, like let's take an example. You're pushing Facebook leads. You're marketing, let's say, solar panels. You're a guy from Ohio. You put your information there. Oh, I want to save from my electricity bill. So what happens next? And this is where where my company comes in. So you will start getting immediately, the second you put your phone number to that form, you will get immediately phone calls, SMS messages like, hey, we have your solar panel offer ready. Please press 1 to connect to our agent. Hey, then you get an SMS. Hey, first name, your solar like offer is pending for your action. Please call us right away. So what you need to do is when you get the person that you already spent the money and you know that they're interested and you need to convert them to your product and you need to sell them something. You cannot just send them email like, hey, here's the offer, please press this link and put your credit card in there. You need to do all that you can to get them to purchase or take the action. And sometimes it means that you send them like 15 calls and 15 SMS messages, but people are retarded and they need the repetition.
I think that was, you know Alex Hormozy, I'm guessing, obviously, but that's in his new book about $100 million leads. He says one of the biggest mistakes by young entrepreneurs is they believe once they've messaged a warm lead once and they haven't got a response from it, they see it as a dead lead. And he's like, I'll message these guys 27 times, and if they don't respond, I'll message them again because you're being very, he was very nice about it, and he said, maybe when you get a text, maybe you're driving, maybe there's so many things you could be doing, you forget about it, whatever. And I found that because I was marketing a product via socials, and I had the same thing. When someone responded to me, or someone read it and left me on scene, worst thing that could happen, especially if it's a girl. You're like, oh my God. But you get left on scene is like, you feel like, they're not interested. But it doesn't mean they're not interested. It just means they're not interested in that moment, right? So do you have a policy on how many times you'll contact that person?
Well, until they purchase or until they unsubscribe.
Okay.
So that is exact. Like if you look at like the mathematics of this. So let's take the solar panel example. You're a company that is selling solar panels. You're paying like $30 a lead to get them from Google or Facebook, and then one SMS message costs you like couple of like less than a penny, and one voice call costs you like also less than a penny. So there's $35 you paid to get the guy to put his information in the form. So how much money would be like reasonable to put to make him to actually purchase? Well, as much as needed, because if you would put like $2 worth of marketing, then with that you will get like 100 phone calls, 15 MMS messages, and like 1,000 SMS. So it's like it's ridiculous how much money you spend to the front end marketing, and then you don't push basically the lead to convert.
So you would say SMS is the most powerful conversion tool. Is that how you would put it?
Well, yeah, it's one. Like, I would say it's probably the most powerful combined also with calls, because there's different type of people as well. So there's people who never would answer a phone call that comes from a salesperson, but there's people who never click on a SMS link. So there's these people who think that, okay, somebody's calling me, I need to answer. There's a lot of these type of people. Then there's people who just never react to marketing SMS messages. So combining both of them, then you at least got their like you got them like covered.
So you again, the trick, I want to call it trick's the wrong word, but the game is getting the data, right? That's the game, getting the warm data. So having the whatever the lead magnet is or the thing is that makes them input their data. As soon as they input their phone number, your company goes to work.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's if you have a product that you're trying to sell, then you need to somehow extract that data. But if on this form, what's the a bit technical maybe, or a bit, but the legalization of, I put my number in here, why can you contact me? You have to tick something?
Yeah, it depends on what country you're in, but in the US they call it TCPA, which is like and then in the Europe we have this GDPR. So basically you tick on a box and you say that, okay, I'm like allowed to be contacted by this company. And also one thing that is like ridiculous, like if I sign up to, especially here in Spain, because people are so lazy, like I sign up something I really need to get, like I want to buy something, then I need to wait for like 1 week to somebody to contact me via email. So there's a reason why people talk about fresh data. So immediately when you have made the intent that you're interested in something, that's the moment you need to be contacted. So in the affiliate industry, we always talk about aged data or fresh data, and basically data starts getting worse and worse every second. Because like if you would get some advertisement, like basically a call from a form that you filled like 3 weeks ago, you probably would not even remember that. So I just tried for like as like a joke. There was few products in Instagram that I was actually interested. Took them like 2 weeks to email me, and that's just plain like stupidity. I was like, okay, what is this email? I was thinking like maybe 15 seconds. Oh yeah, this is the thing I saw like a few weeks ago somewhere, and probably most of the people will not remember at all what they did.
Yeah, and then the hunger to purchase that thing, to part with your money, your hard-earned cash is gone, right? You're I think that's good advice for anyone who doesn't want to buy things. It's like when you see something that you really want to buy, wait a week, and if you still really want to buy it, then okay, buy it. But if because it's like that hunger, especially with all the marketing and all this, it's not scamming, but the pressure, the sales pressure that these companies put on you to buy this product. This product's going to change your life. This is going to do this. Live another week without it, and then think, do I actually need this thing? And that's basically what these companies are allowing you to do by not contacting you, right? So you mentioned it there, because I think this was what I wanted to ask about. So for me, SMS is great. You said there's two types of people. Some people that respond to SMS and some people respond to phone calls. My phone's on Do Not Disturb. I would never answer it, no matter who rings me. Even my mum, she's lucky if I pick up. Like, I would never, ever pick it up. SMS, I do not look at. I don't even, if you SMS me, WhatsApp, I'll look at. I'm a WhatsApp guy and an Instagram guy. So that's like a different sort of data source, or you can also contact WhatsApp numbers as well.
Yeah, you can contact WhatsApp numbers, but WhatsApp is like it's a little bit limited in the marketing. And also one thing we need to understand that here in Europe, like WhatsApp is a big thing, but it's not in the US. Like in the US, like everybody's like WhatsApp, so everybody's using SMS still there. And one of the main reasons is that they have so shitty data connections that they rely more on SMS.
Yeah, and this also because the other reason for it is that within Europe, I mean, I'm an international guy, has international friends that have international, so I'm talking to people in different countries all the time, and they have different whatever. But now it's probably changed, and SMS is probably fine. But when you started, I remember you had BlackBerry Messenger, and you could like message each other no matter what on data. And then it'd be like it would cost me more money if you were in Germany and I was in England. So it just became WhatsApp. WhatsApp was the cheapest way to contact people, and I'm just got stuck in that way. You know what I mean? But for me, it's like WhatsApp or Instagram, and I feel like now is that a part of the puzzle? Like you said, you want to buy a product on Instagram and you would show interest in that product and they're going to email you. What if they would DM you like straight away? Like that's like what's the open rate on a DM? Do you have
I think that will be also pretty high, so I would probably react to that as well. But the thing here is like you need to use all the channels you can, because when you already have the intent, you need to basically attack on every front. You maybe even go to the guy's door and ask, like, what do you want to buy? So that's how you need to do, because the most difficult thing is to get the intent of somebody who wants to buy something. But I think like one of the big things that have been a problem, especially with the higher ticket things, is the actual humans like involved in the telesales and communications. So but that's basically changing as we speak. So what will happen now if we look at like 6 months ahead or 1 year ahead? Like everybody's talking about self-driving cars and these type of things, but the problem with self-driving cars is that there's regulations. They don't let you just launch self-driving car and off you go. But there's already a situation where in our marketing, like we cannot hear if it's an AI talking or if it's a human talking. So there's going to be different levels, like also in telesales there's different levels. So if you go look how telemarketing is structured, it's usually somebody like there's marketing, then there's somebody who's booking the appointment / qualifying, and then there's the guy who's closing and actually sealing the deal. So now we are in the phase where the qualifying phase can be done already by AI, and you won't understand or recognize it's not a human. So what I talk about qualification, like let's say that we're talking about again the solar panel example, they need to qualify that, okay, look, you have a house that is in this area, you have like, we can install you. There's certain qualifications. You need to have certain type of roof, you need to live in the certain type of area, you need to have certain type of credit score. There's in any product in the world, there's in the higher ticket like offers, you have certain qualifications that you need the customer to qualify. And people are using now like low cost like telemarketers to do this, and they're doing the qualification. And the problem with them is like, okay, they get maybe some data, and then they come to the morning at the office, and then they start dialing. But the benefit of the AI is that AI doesn't care what time it is. AI can react immediately and just call you, and it's probably better than the human that is calling, because it's low level people who are doing the qualifications. So what we are doing is we're basically already automating. So when you get these calls from us, it's AI like saying like, hey, we got this special offer for you, and look like, and then you want to have the solar panels, you would want to have the diet product. The AI is pitching you the thing, and then you press 1 if you like the product, and then you go to a real human that actually closes it. But the first phase is already almost completed. Everybody just doesn't know it yet. But the second phase that will happen is that it actually will be able to close the deal as well. So the AI will be like, hey, like okay, let's set up the paperwork. The AI will send you DocuSign papers with like the financial agreements and do all the email chain and basically do the end sales. And if you have some obstacles or you're having like some hesitations, the AI will just tackle it. And what I think will happen, like there will be no telemarketers in this world anymore in 2 years.
2 years?
2 years.
Wow, okay. So there'll be, again, from me putting in my phone number, in any form, on any product that I show intention on, I'll get a phone call from AI that will qualify me and close me straight away.
Yeah.
And that's where your company is situated right now at the moment for its business. So right now, you said we're a couple of years away or a year away from the closing, but currently, if I want to sell a product and I have any sort of form where someone types in their phone number, your company can do the closing to get them to a salesman that will close at the moment.
Yeah, that's the end goal. Currently, we're in the phase where we can qualify the person fully. So how it works, I have my own like debt relief company, which we do like debt settlements in the US. That's also a thing that doesn't exist in Europe. So basically, how it works is like you have a lot of debts, you're not able to pay them, and then you go in the debt settlement. So what they do is like we're looking for people who have more than 10K of like debt. They are employed. They have not been able to make the monthly payments, and then we go and we pay off the debt and basically communicate with Amex and all the like collectors, and then they just pay us the monthly fee. So that is one of the things we run like we started like 1 year ago, and then we're running like high 7 figures already. It's booming in the US because of the debt crisis. So what we're now doing, the AI is asking like, hey, are you employed? Are you like, what's your credit score? Like, do you have over 10K of debt? Then they ask like, what type of debt? Is it medical debt? Is it like payday loans? And if people say like, oh, okay, I have like auto loans, like, oh no, we cannot accept auto loans, like because it's not like unsecured debt. And basically they're doing all the qualification work. And then when they are qualified, then we put them to our like closers that are actually like more qualified salespeople who will do the paperwork and like, hey, like you will save this much money if you go with our program, and here's the DocuSign link, and like let's get this done, and they will do like the final thing.
But you think your conversion will go up from having AI do that?
Yeah, and it will basically be 24/7. The quality will be way higher because like if you look now, like ChatGPT, it can pass the bar test, so it's basically better than an average lawyer. So like the average people who are doing telesales, they're not like better than the average lawyer. And like one of the biggest obstacles that we had before in this was like the speed of the AI. So AI took a little bit time of like actually like getting the responses out, but now when the things are getting so much more faster, it's not going to be a long time. I would say like they will be able to finish like the deals in like six months.
So you think, so again, if I just said some random thing, like, okay, I get a phone call from AI, I understand a little bit, like they go through prompts, right? So they'll say to me, like you said, you have 10K of debt. Yeah. And if I just say something random, like how do they then continue the call? You know what I mean? Like how do they track it back to me without me knowing that it's a robot? That's the thing that I don't understand.
Yeah, they do it really well. Like you cannot, like if you say to them like fuck, I cannot hear anything, then like, hey, okay, I'm gonna speak louder. And if you just say something fully random, they will actually respond like really human like. So you like, I actually cannot see like here if it's an AI or not.
I feel like that's something that once, again, maybe I don't answer the phone, so I definitely not. But if I heard it and I went through it, I think it would like be a light bulb moment for me. So maybe there's a lot of people that, even though you're saying it, and you obviously, it's your whole business, so you fully trust it, fully believe it. For me, I'm still like, nah, the robots aren't going to call me and qualify me. Nah, like I would be able to tell. I'm not stupid. You know, that's where I think the arrogance of us comes in. We think like, I'd be able to tell. So I think if I went through the process and had a conversation with a robot or with AI, I call it a robot, and then I would then see this huge opportunity that you've obviously seen like somehow before everyone else.
Well, the first thing, like I got actually lured by one of our competitors. I was sitting at my pool at Marbella, and I got a call. It said like, hey, is it Valtteri? I was like, yeah. Okay, good. Do you have time to talk? I'm like, yeah, I do. And then it started going with the flow. So it's really like it's really smart in like detecting how a real human would go, and it interacts with you so that you don't really understand it's an AI at all. And if it's like in this phase, like that, it's yeah. If it's now so that it's really hard or impossible, and the technology is just like it's taking like so huge steps, it's gonna be fully impossible. So, and what is like the AIs now? They're like language models. So you could chat with them, and you could not like understand that it's not the human if they would make like a chatbot. It could act like a girl. It would act like a sea captain. You could put any prompt there, and you can just put any prompt like, okay, act like you would be like just like some engineer looking for a job. And then when you write it, it would take like the avatar of the engineer looking for a job, and it would communicate exactly like that to you. So it's only about like the technology is already there. It's just like implementing to the voice side of the things.
So that's because you told me this off camera before we had coffee, and you said the next step is like you said, these people. This is where it gets weird for me, and almost not scary is the wrong word, but like I could see how effective it would be, where the AI because I think of when I think of AI, I think of scripts and how things are written and whatever else, and you can get to the point where the voice of the person that's closing you or talking to you can be anybody on the planet. So if I ran a company and I was a personal brand like I am, and let's say I was selling martial arts lessons or videos or whatever, you could get a phone call from me. So
Yeah.
I could ring you and be like, hey, it's Luke, blah, 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 but it'd actually be AI, right?
Yeah. And we're doing that all the time. And so yesterday what we did, we actually tested one of our marketing campaigns. We tested Darth Vader's voice. So that was actually working surprisingly well. So it's really commanding and stuff. And we're doing all this freaky shit, like we're having like Yoda voice and everything. And then it's taking like, you can actually prompt the AI, like make the script as you would talk as a Yoda. So then it uses like the Yoda verbiage, like, and we use Arnold Schwarzenegger, we use Joe Rogan. It's so easy, like we don't even need to have you like any consent from you.
I was about to say.
We just take like the more content you have from you just speaking, we just go and we clone the voice, and then it's that.
So say how much content to clone my voice? There's definitely enough on the internet already just from these podcasts.
Yeah. You need only like half an hour.
Wow. Okay.
So in our like platform, you can select like we have from everything from like Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, Obama. Like there's a product called Obamacare in United States, so we market like, hey, this is your president speaking, and it's Obama's voice.
And that's completely legal.
Well, it's completely legal to take somebody's voice and you use it. There's no like law that you cannot like copyright your voice.
Wow.
That's pretty freakish, but you cannot.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So I mean, I know that Bruce Buffer, he copyrighted It's Time, in the UFC. He got, because I think his brother,
Nick Buffer.
Is it Nick Buffer or the guy that does the boxing?
Yeah, Nick Buffer.
And what's his phrase that he says?
Let's get ready to rumble.
Let's get ready to rumble. And he made more money off copyrighting that or something for the computer games and all that sort of stuff that used that phrase. Yeah. He made more money off that than being a MC in boxing. Like that was the story I heard. So his brother copied it and did the same thing. So you can copyright phrases, but you can't copyright your voice. Maybe that will be a future thing. I don't know, because I obviously this is brand new. So if Obama rang me, I'd obviously kind of know that it's a joke, right? But it gets to the point where smaller individuals are doing it. It can become almost like I'm just thinking about like, imagine, my wife's voice or some girl's voice, or, it could get like crazy,
Yeah, well, we all know about like, there's a lot of like one of the most horrifying applications that will be used for this is like the dating scene. So like there's nothing that is like more easy to prey on than a lonely, horny guy that is looking for love. So you can imagine if people are now signing up for different kind of dating sites and just paying for like chat to like, basically they think they chat with the woman, but they're actually chatting with some OnlyFans manager that is like a guy in Turkey sitting in sitting in his underwear. But what if they get a call from this girl? Like that is something that no horny, like lonely guy can resist when they hear like a young woman's voice asking about how are they doing.
And you could facilitate this.
Yes.
Okay. We have to have a chat after this, but
Yeah, that's gonna be dirty.
okay, yeah, that's going to be crazy because like you said, there's actually now I read something or saw a report with the OnlyFans thing. There's someone who using AI generated every image of the girl.
Yeah.
So it's not even a real girl, and all of her pictures and all of her content on it, it's just all fake. Well, not fake, but it's AI. And then, like you said, they're using some manager to talk to them or whatever. So she doesn't even exist, and I think she's making like 6 figures a month.
Yeah, or he is making. Who created the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, you start to talk about, that's when it starts becoming insane. So then he could then layer on top of that this made-up AI person is going to call you and speak to you and be your girlfriend. And, Okay. That sounds like an interesting industry.
Yeah, that's one of the easiest industries because like a men's brain usually shut down when they start thinking with the dick. So
You're talking from experience.
no. I'm married, so everything's cool now.
Now it's fine. Okay, so with the business now, I mean, it sounds like you found, I'm not going to say stumbled upon is the wrong phrase, but like you selected and picked, like you said, if you can find the right marketplace and you can find the right tool, you can just print money, right? So you were fortunate, again, is the wrong word to use, but you identified this and you just ran with it. So what do you think? Again, because from your character, from knowing you, I always try, and a lot of young guys watch this podcast and okay, fine, I have this idea, but how do I execute this idea? You know, how do I do this? What you said it took you 2 days to start an email marketing company. What characteristics do you think you have or you've built up over, your experience in life that allows you to have such like high level execution? Think of something and just do it. Rather, there's no fear to deal with. There's no maybe I'll fail. You said most people don't make it because the first big failure they come up against, they give up. Why don't you give up? Why don't you see something difficult and think, I can't bother with this. I'm just going to carry on living my mundane life. Like most guys that you describe do that.
Well, in this point, this is quite easy because you have so much like history of looking like success. So now even if I like have something negative happen at work or there's some obstacles, you can like look at actually your past performance and be like, okay, this is just one of those. Like this is gonna be like you're gonna laugh for this like after like a few months. But I think like people overthink a lot. So I think the most stupid thing I see, there's people who are considering like, okay, like maybe I should try this, maybe I should do something, and they think like they need to do everything perfectly. Like I'm as far from a perfect, like I do everything just quick and a little bit shitty, but I get the result and then I improve. So it's like I trust more in taking immediate action than trying to do something perfectly.
Okay, so speed. Yeah, acting with speed and getting it done, and that's how you then refining.
Yeah,
and you think again, the whole idea in my mind is because the whole frame of my whole mentality is martial arts, because that's kind of how I think about martial arts. But do you think that mentality came from doing jiu-jitsu, or you think it has anything to do with, like, obviously jiu-jitsu is quite an intelligent sport, and you learn the skills, but you have to refine. A guard pass, you have to do it 1,000 times to be able to do it like the best you can do it. So do you think there's anything between the two things with your mentality towards business and your mentality to martial arts? You think doing martial arts as a young man, you think it helped you build this sort of resilience towards hardship, or how do you feel?
Yeah, I think like I know also like you when you do like a sport, you get like plateaued and you feel like, okay, I'm not progressing, but you still keep going to the practice, and then basically you end up like looking like, okay, I'm way better than I was like 2 months ago, and way better than I was like 6 months ago. But at the moment, it probably doesn't feel like that. So when you just go and trust the process and you keep on grinding and doing, that's where the results usually come. And I think like I'm now 33. Now I can be like, even if something like really bad happened in the business, you're like, okay, like this is just like feeling bad for the moment. We're just gonna keep on grinding. And what I noticed, like, because we had like, if you look at the entrepreneur journey, like there was this moment when like email was like easy. You could do like 100K okay, like a day with email marketing. Then suddenly Google shuts down like all the spam things. Like you cannot anymore deliver. Everything becomes more difficult. It goes almost to zero. You think everything is over. Okay, then happens the same. Like in SMS, there was first like no regulations in the United States. You could just take like 1 million of data and just start blasting. Then they started having like regulations. You need to have like like campaign vetting. You need to have like official website. You need to have like certain levels of like you're only allowed to have certain amount of complaints, and your routes will be shut off. And there's been maybe like 5-6 moments where we thought that okay, now everything is over, and nothing was ever over. Like it's always just like a small time of building things up, recalibrating, and then finding how to improve. So every time like we thought that things would be like they're never gonna be as good that they were in the past. So we've been always wrong. And now when I really trust that thing, it gives you like certain kind of confidence.
Yeah, because like you said, it's memory. Like you can go back and be like, well, this happened to us, but then this opened up. So obviously, as long as you're open to I call it like riding waves.
Yeah.
So like SMS, email marketing was a wave. You rode it to the idea, and the best way to do it is to ride it to the top and then jump onto the next wave at the top, and you keep wave and wave and wave and wave. But if you hang on to the thing for too long and it starts going sour, and then that's when maybe you have a little bit of sadness or hard time, or that's kind of what I feel I did with the fighting. Well, now when I talk about my fight career, I had an amazing career. I did some amazing things, but I probably did it for a little bit too long that I shouldn't have. I didn't get anything out of it, in this area. I didn't jump onto the next thing early enough because it's difficult to like make that change. But now I've made that change in one way. The next wave, I'll know when it's time to jump off of it. So maybe now for you, if SMS somehow becomes like email and it goes from being a 97% open rate, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if it does, 97% rate and goes down to a 10% rate, you then need to find the next wave, the next wave, the next wave, the next wave. And I think that's what being an entrepreneur is, right? Is understanding that you're never safe.
Exactly.
And you can always jump to the next wave. And this is how I look at myself, and maybe I'm projecting a little bit, but I think if you truly believe in yourself as a man, then you it's always going to be all right. So when you're in the darkest moments and the hardest times and everything's going wrong, like, okay, forget this, so let's do something else, and I'll be good at that next thing that I do anyway. And you called it recalibrating, like take a step back, look where you're at, and again, that becomes easier and easier if you've got money in the bank, right? And you don't have the pressures of paying the bills. I guess pressures of paying the bills for you are no longer there. No. So, I think the advice for younger guys, this is what I wanted to get to. I think what's the word? The symmetry, maybe that's not the right word, but between being able to deal with like hardship and being able to thrive, like you have to go through that. I think the best way to do that is sports. I'm talking as a young man. Like if you're 13, 14, okay, maybe you can start some email marketing company. Yeah. I don't know. Now with the internet, you can do loads of things and start business and make money. But I feel like everyone's focused on making money, and I want to make money, I want to make money, I want to make money, but they don't build up that solid foundation as a man, like the understanding of how the world works and understanding yourself. You're obviously you've gone through a bit of an amazing few waves that have brought you up, but you're very grounded as a man because of the jiu-jitsu. I think jiu-jitsu makes you humble. You use the word humble. Humbles you constantly because you're constantly getting beaten up. And you realize you're not invincible. Whereas if men don't go through that journey and they start making millions and millions of dollars, they can maybe become above their station. Does that make sense? So
you see these people who made like the money from crypto. So you see that they're fucking soft, and you can actually you can almost like see from how somebody walks if they're like self-made or if they inherit the money. So you can like see just like how people carry themselves. But one thing that is like making usually because we're so bad in like measuring like how much we're actually doing. So people are saying like, hey, I'm doing so much work and I did so much time to this and training so much. So for me, like what I usually do, I measure things. So like let's say that I would need to do sales, and I would need to find let's say my goal is to get 10 big call centers to adapt our software. So would it be enough for me to contact like 15 companies to get 10? Probably not. It's more we're going to be closer to contact 500. So that is the same in any like skill. Like if you put 40 hours of learning some skill, you would be really good in Facebook marketing. If you put 40 hours of teaching like how to do basic economics, you'll actually be pretty decent. If you put 40 hours in Jiu-Jitsu, you will learn the basics. And it's not that long time, but if you measure by hours and you measure like amount of contacts, that makes it way more easy for you to like understand what you actually need to do to succeed in life.
Yeah, I think I spoke about this before on the podcast, but there's like a 18-minute rule, that whole thing. Like if you spend 18 minutes a day practicing something and you do that for a year, it might even be a year, it might be a month, I don't know. But if you do that, you're better than 95% of the population at that one thing. It's 18 minutes a day. So when you have these people say, I don't have time, I can't, blah, 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 blah. It's like, bro, you got 18 minutes. If you don't believe you got time to learn a new skill, look at your phone, go to settings, go look at how much time you spend on social media, and I guarantee you can cut that down by 18 minutes. I definitely could, 100%. Yeah. But I think that's quite admirable someone else told me to do that recently. I think it was actually my marketing manager. He said he breaks down his day into the amount of hours he puts into every different skill. He learns Russian, he plays piano, he does blah, 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 blah. But he has, what do you call it when you work by numbers? Again, this is like a fighter's brain fart. I've been hitting the head. No, yeah, obviously an Excel spreadsheet, but no... I can't think of the word, but he basically understands like the amount of hours that he's putting into everything over a week, and he can look back at it and he can understand like, okay, this week I spent 2 hours on this. If I spend 3 hours on this, I'm going to get blah, 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 blah. And it sounds a little bit like boring, like to look at your life like that. But if you want to make money and you want to succeed, it's like the simplest format to improve, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I looked at it like that when it came to fighting. Again, for me, my whole life comes from fighting. And I think you said it, once you can look back at your life and you can look back at the positives and the things that you've done, you have more confidence, right? Because we've already overcome 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 problems or bad situations that you've then become better. It's like, I know I turned professional as a fighter, and 22 months later from turning pro, I fought in the UFC. Like it was 22 months and it wasn't even 22 months, it was 18 months. So it took me 22 months from turning pro, but from my pro debut, because I had a 4-month training camp for that fight, it took me 18 months. I think you can look it up because on Wikipedia it says like my pro debut to my UFC fight, and I think I did that, and I couldn't do the maths, so I typed the dates into ChatGPT and it told me how much it was, because that's how the world's going. You don't have to think anymore. But it was about 18 months from me turning pro to fighting in the UFC, which is fine. I believe you can do in 3 years, is the time I gave myself. Anything you want in the world is possible in 3 years. And then I said that to my man. He said, bro, it's far too long. You can do anything in a year if you focus the energy and the time and you quantify. That's the word that I was trying to think of earlier. You quantify. You have quantifiables. If you quantify your effort into things, you can go from wherever you're at right now. If you quantify the effort that you put into the thing and you put in more effort than other people, you can quantify that over a year. You're going to succeed at it as long as you continue to put the effort in. I know that I will overcome anything because I've already done it. That's how I look at it. Like I went from sleeping on the floor to trying to run a clothing store. I used to have an air mattress, wasn't quite on the floor. I'm watching Godfather on a laptop every night. So my friend Paul had a clothing store and we were partners, and we used to sleep in the stock room on the floor because we were so broke that we couldn't afford a place to live, but we wanted to keep this shop open. It was during the recession back in the day. And we'd watch Godfather on a laptop every night. We'd wake up in the morning, go to the gym to shower and brush our teeth because we didn't have running water where we lived. And I would go to the shop every day and run the shop all day and try and make sales, whatever. Then after that, I would go to the gym. And I did that for maybe 8-10 months. And I've decided to go into fighting instead because this shop thing that I was doing was crazy, crazy hard. I probably should have gone into email marketing, but I didn't know it existed. And then I slept on the floor in the gym, and I just trained and trained and trained and trained. And then I got to the UFC, and then life got a bit easier. So I was like, from sleeping on the floor to fighting in UFC took me 3 years. I'm sure I can start. I've got the same mentality as you. Like, I'm not dumb. I know I make jokes about it. I'm sure I can start an email marketing company in 3 years and start making money. You did it in 2 days. So maybe 3 years is too long. But I just mean for anyone watching and listening to your story and every story that they have on this podcast, because I try and bring on, people that excel and are doing well. You put it best where it's not special people that make all these big sums of money. I think you put that limiting belief on yourself where you believe that you have to be special to make millions of dollars. The more people I see that I know are making those sort of sums of money, which is the kind of same thing you said, now with being part of the war room and all the guys I interact with and all these, very, very wealthy guys, I'm like, there's nothing special about you. You just found the right thing and you ran with it. I'm sure I can find the right thing and I can run with it. That was my mentality 3 years ago when I joined, and I keep going and going and going and going. And I think for anyone listening, they should believe, like, it's very hard to understand the idea of making $100,000 a month. Like if you make $3,000 a month, that amount of money just sounds like fantasy. But then when you meet 400 or 500 people that are all doing it, and you realize they are nothing more special than you are. No one's more special than you are. Then you just kind of have that more belief. You identify the problem with it, and then you can attack it. And I think for people listening, they should really somehow, like, again, being a bouncer is how you got your first feeling of it, because you saw those guys drinking bottles or whatever. I think that's identifying the people that are making that money and like studying them or talking to them or getting involved with them is a bit of a life hack. I don't know if you have any advice on how to do that.
Well, find a rich idiot you think they're smarter, and then just basically tell like if he can make it, you can make it.
Yeah, I think it exactly, and that's what I used to think in fighting. So that's where my mentality come from, fighting. I'm sort of what I was trying to get to. I kind of went around the way with it, but I would be like, again, because I'm an egomaniac or something like that, but I could beat this guy up.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, and then you'd go to the gym and you would get murdered. This is what happened to me. I'd be like, okay, but if I train really, really hard, I'll be able to beat this guy up. Then I would train really, really hard and I could beat him up. So it's like the same with money. It's like, I'm broke, you got money, I bet I can make more money than you. Train really, really hard and you make more money. It's just the quantifiables. I think that's a very, very interesting mentality to have, to understand. Again, break down your day into the amount of hours that you're spending on creating new skills. And what I find with a lot of people is they don't even really know what money is. Like they don't understand how money works, what people spend it on. They go to shops and they're just consumers. I think the difference between being a creator and being a consumer is you have to put yourself in the creator bracket. And I'm not talking about content and all that sort of stuff. I'm talking about business. I'm talking about livelihood. I'm talking about making things. It's like that's like an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is always in the creator bracket. He's always trying to think of how he can put himself in between the money. To make more money. I'm doing it at the moment. We were talking about it earlier with flights and all this other stuff. But yeah, I've been going on a bit of a rambling now. So let's finish there, unless you want to go deep into SMS. Anything we missed out about the company?
Yeah, well, basically anybody who's doing any marketing and have any consumer database that they want to sell anything, promote anything, market anything, they should definitely use like textback.ai, our platform. We have like packages where like experts help you how to do all the creatives. You can select if you want to be Darth Vader, Joe Rogan. Dana White is now one of the hottest voices we have. So that's really used in fitness. So you should definitely look up our software, because that's something that like 100% of our clients have started making more money when they used it. So it's not like 90%, it's 100%. And things are just getting better and better with the AI. And just to like, when I talked that it, like things were better in the past, like I still remember, like, because in SMS marketing and voice marketing, one of the biggest things was creating content and testing content. So we used to have this like turns that every partner needed to do like a lot of creatives and make like campaign messaging. Now all that is gone. You just put like, this is the product I want to advertise, this is the website. Please AI make me 150 creatives. And then it just blows up the content. You test the content, data speaks for itself, then you scale and make money. So there's so many things that are now so easy with the AI. So you're losing money if you have any data that you should market and you're not using textback.ai, you're losing money.
Basic. Okay, perfect. So the company's called textback.ai. We'll
Yes.
put the link in the YouTube below, so anyone wants to check it out. I'm sure there's a demo on there or
Yeah.
something that really explains what it's all about. And then how can people, if they want to follow you, and we didn't even talk about your crazy life in Dubai and living the life and traveling
Yeah.
and doing all that stuff. We'll keep it quiet. But if you want to find out what Valtteri's up to with his supercars and driving around all the world, you can.
Yeah, you can find me from Instagram.
Okay, so what would be the Instagram?
Valdesar. It's a difficult word, so we can put it in the title.
Okay, I'll put it down below in the title as well. But thank you very much for coming on, mate.
you.
I appreciate the deep dive on your business. I'm super, super interested in it, and I'm sure people will learn a lot about it today.